Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's epic Uncuckables, because we're all crammed in here in one screen here. I'm Tim Wilms Editor and Chief of The Unshackled, and I'm joined, as always, in the studio by Editor of the XYZ, David Hiscox.
It's great to be here, Tim. Good to see everybody else here. G'day, Matty. G'day, James.
Hey, Dave. Good to be here.
And we're not just streaming to the Uncuckables YouTube channel, we're also streaming to the Unshackled channel and also the Rational Rise channel, because those two channels are monetized and it's easier for our viewers to send through super chats there, given that everyone's been complaining about entropy. If you're watching on the Uncuckables YouTube channel, you can still click on the entropy link. I've just put it in the chat, and join us over there if you prefer to send through a super chat, or you can also ask us a question there. And we're also on the Uncuckables D Live channel where you can send us through a lemon. So we've got to monitor, 4 chats tonight. We've all worked it out. I'm monitoring the Unshackled one. James, you're monitoring the RRE TV one.
I'm just trolling.
Which one are you?
Why are people concerned about entropy? Entropy is awesome. What's the issue there?
Do you not get audience feedback or listen to audience feedback?
Well, no, not really.
I haven't heard any complaints about it, but it's a new tech, right? And people are slow to change. People are slow to get off the teat of Google.
Yeah, and I prefer it. They only take 15%. Even if I was fully monetized on my live channel, I probably wouldn't even turn super chats on now. I only use
I noticed today when I was listening to Nick Fuentes' live stream that he is using entropy as well now, which is cool. I don't know how long he's been using that for, but that's rad.
I think he just got demonetized, so he just went straight over to entropy. It's funny, every time YouTube demonetizes live streamers now, they're basically handing money over to entropy. It's so stupid. It's terrible business practice.
Yes, but they're taking a strong moral stand in not letting officially through them being a verified YouTube Google partner. What is they're called officially now Google YouTube, the Alphabet Company. Does that mean it's run by the Alphabet people?
Well, it is, isn't it?
But they've just made it official in the name.
Yeah, that's right. Pretty sure isn't that their whole MO, the LGBT agenda?
Whatever how many acronyms there are now.
Oh, it's just LGBT covers it all, I reckon.
Mm.
Yeah. Especially the P.
I like S and G myself. S and G seems to cover it. Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, you can just call them sodomites, because that's pretty much what they are, really.
Yeah.
It's just sodomites.
I like Gomorites. I prefer Gomorites. That's
why Gomorites? Yeah. Why Gomorites?
It makes people stop and think.
Yeah.
What's a Gomorite?
Yeah. Well, have you read your Bible?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Well, there could potentially be a president by the beginning of next year who engages in that practice, because Mayor Pete Buttigieg, or what did we first call him?
Buddy gig.
Butt plug.
Isn't it butt gig? I thought it was butt gig.
Yeah.
Buttigieg is the official pronunciation.
He's got the name to match, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he could well win too. Imagine if he won. It's like,
well, yeah.
The way I see it, God's already got Babylon, which is America, like squarely in his crosshairs. And if they were to elect a man of Sodom as their president, it would be, I don't know whether the Lord would tolerate that.
They've already had a man of Sodom as their president. The last president.
That's true, actually. Yeah. That is true.
Are you sure you want to say that on air, James? Because remember the last person who said that, Joan Rivers, she went in for throat surgery 2 months later and was dead on arrival.
Well, I'll make sure I don't go in for throat surgery anytime soon.
Well, make sure you use a Christian surgeon.
Yeah.
Well, there was also all those other offensive jokes that Joan Rivers said during the final years of her career.
It's like she no longer had any fucks to give, huh? Yeah. She just let it all out, yeah.
Her slogan was, "I succeed because I say what others are thinking." I remember she made a whole bunch of fat jokes about Adele, and that's when she first landed on the scene. Adele, that's what everyone was thinking. Well, she's pretty fat, but nobody said it except for Joan Rivers.
Good on her. I think I've said this before. Like, what I can't stand about Adele, although I hear she's lost weight, but she would like, singers have this thing where they put their hand out in front of them, and she's one of those fat chicks who has fat hands, and the fat hands just I just can't handle it.
I don't know if I've ever watched Adele do anything. I've heard her voice, but I don't. I mean, I've seen a picture of her or two, but I haven't paid that much attention, Dave.
Yeah, next time you see it, all you're going to see are the fat hands, I'm telling you.
I don't reckon I could tell you what her voice sounded like. What song has she sung?
What is it? Rolling in the Deep.
A lot of very sad ballads. A lot of sad songs about guys who left her. She's a great singer, though. Really great, great tone. But, it gets a bit much after a while because it's all so damn sad.
Well, that's the same as Taylor Swift. She has to write about her ex-boyfriends or how she's a psycho.
I love the trailer for the movie that's coming out, or it's already come out. I don't know, about Taylor Swift's transition from innocent apolitical country singer into political activist, and becoming so brave and so stunning to speak up for the widely accepted left-wing LGBT opinions of Hollywood. That's going to be a riveting, groundbreaking film, to be sure.
She's so brave.
She's from Tennessee, country singer from Tennessee.
Yeah. I preferred her when she was, and this is what they referred to her as, a Nazi Barbie doll. Like, she was pretty good back then. Somebody actually called her that. Yeah,
that's classic.
Do you know one
of my favorite Facebook pages that no longer exists was Taylor Swift for a Fascist Europe. It was incredible.
She does have a beautiful Aryan look about her, doesn't she?
Yeah.
We should do an in memorandum of all the Facebook pages we've lost.
Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite? The favorite of XYZ, Make Australia Grouse. What's it up to now?
It's about up to about 1,600, I think. It's up to 6. It's up to about 6 million. Yeah.
6. Yeah. Next one's 6. The next one's 6. Make Australia. You should make Australia Grouse again. 666.
Yeah.
Or just 6 million.
Yeah.
So we started on Pete Buttigieg, but we got a bit distracted by the sodomy and the fat hands that the tangents we followed. But why don't we jump into the Iowa Caucus and
you're live with the two biggest tangent people here.
Is that what was on the agenda? I didn't actually read the Google Doc telling me
what
we were supposed to talk about.
I didn't think you did. It's like how we
never do.
When we interviewed Mark Collett, I did all this preparation. You just rocked up and then tangented on Christianity and girls and whatever. And I had this whole list that.
And my content was amazing. It was great.
But I had all this.
There's nothing like riffing.
Yeah, but there's all this
one of the greatest shows. One of the greatest shows on TV ever was Whose Line Is It Anyway? And that was completely made up, basically, just on the spot.
The advantage of that was that they were all in the same room and they didn't have to rely on dodgy Australian internet to riff back and forth.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was also a structured show as well. They had different segments and that. It wasn't just they all rocked up and just started talking shit.
Hey, it's funny. My picture is actually pretty good on the Skype right now. How's that?
Yeah, your internet for once is. I can see your. Can our audience see your bed? Oh, Dave's blocking it. We can see your bed.
Can you?
Yeah.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
That's where magic happens.
the pure magic.
Yeah, the godly magic, where the bed
life is created.
Well, that's what I was referring to. It's the magic of when I wake up in the morning and the bed's all messy, and then I come home at night and it's completely made. It's like magic.
that's not the best magic that happens there.
You've heard that? What, I don't know. What other magic is there?
This brother needs
You know,
an education. You've got kids, haven't you?
I have kids. I don't know. Yeah, they like magic too. My magic washing basket. My magic washing basket was broken for a number of years, but it seems to have started being magic again, where I throw my clothes in the washing basket and it turns up in my drawer and in my cupboard, folded and ironed. It's just amazing.
Sounds like you have a well-trained wife there. Yeah.
Well, on occasions.
We actually should get to the...
Yeah, so Buttigieg, yeah?
That's how you...
Like,
So he announced on Tuesday evening,
hey?
yeah, because it was the Iowa Caucus, where, in case you don't know what a caucus is in the US presidential primaries, it's where they all go to a local town hall or basketball hall, and you each stand in different corners of the room to which candidate you want to support, and then they do a head count. So it's not a secret ballot, because obviously your head is counted, your physical head, and they were going to use this app developed by Shadow Inc. To tally up all of the caucus votes, but it failed and kept logging all the head counters out, and there was 0 results in on the night, but Pete Buttigieg got up on stage and said he won. And lo and behold, this was with 0% of the vote counted. Lo and behold, 2 days later... Oh, we lost James there, did we? Or did he turn his camera off?
No, my camera's on.
He's with us.
Yeah, but this is the result of the Iowa Caucus. Buttigieg just beat Bernie Sanders, 26.2%. And he's got 550 delegates. Sanders 547, Elizabeth Warren 18%, and then Joe Biden, he came fourth, 16%. Amy Klobuchar, she came in fifth, 12%. All the other, you would say, more interesting candidates like Tulsi Gabbard and... Oh, you're on different sides now. Can I swap you around?
It wasn't me. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think I can. Okay.
So it's almost as if Pete Buttigieg, whatever it is,
what happened to my thing? What happened to my...
It's all falling apart. The boom attack. The boom attack.
It's James's fault. It was perfect.
It's absolutely not my fault. I touched nothing.
I
did nothing wrong.
It's your internet again.
No,
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so you were saying, James.
It's almost as though Pete knew he was going to win before they fired up the app, and Tim will explain, I'm sure, in better detail than I can, about the strange connections that have begun to emerge from people's suspicions and their investigations into this Shadow Incorporated.
They really didn't start off very well with a name like that. Yeah.
What did they just say? When they were deciding on the name, they thought, we better not call it Globalist Inc. or Illuminati Inc. or Freemasons Inc.
And then someone was like, hey, how about Shadow Government? No, let's just go with Shadow. Yeah.
I think somebody fielded the name idea Never Burning, but they threw that out as well.
So they are still freaking out about Bernie. They still... Even though he basically kissed Hillary's ass last election and endorsed her against the will of his supporters, he basically indicated then that, yeah, I'm willing to sell out, but they still want to steal the nomination from him again, and he's willing to put up with it.
Yeah.
Well, for now, you know, as these conspiracies begin to come to light, I suspect this is probably Bernie's last chance to make a stand, and he is among the Democratic candidates. He's the only true progressive. You know, he's the only one who's genuinely on the commie train and wanting to go down that path, and the rest of them are very much establishment candidates. So I think, you know, Bernie, you know, just like with the last election, Bernie's probably the only guy who has any chance against Trump. So they're throwing the election to Trump if they're not going to let Bernie win, as he probably would on the popular vote as we progress. But there's months to go, so we'll find out, won't we?
It's interesting that with left-wing parties, like whether it's America, Great Britain, here in Australia, it always seems to be a choice, like, of their leadership. Like, it's always a choice between the actual Marxists and just the thugs who actually run the joint. Like they're kind of union thugs who, like, they've got their little cliques, and like they've all got their arrangements with each other, and there's a bit of violence that backs it all up as well. It's always either a choice between those criminals or the actual Marxists who will actually bring about, like, death and destruction for millions of people.
Democratic Party, they have the super delegates as well, where basically all the elected Democrats and other significant party figures get their own vote, where they can significantly sway the vote of the registered members. And even before the 2016 primary started, they all pledged for Hillary.
Yeah, okay.
Guys, I hate to hijack, but this is the most boring topic. I do not care. I do not care about Democratic primaries in one bit.
Well, let's get into the conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
The conspiracy theories are actually quite interesting. Yeah.
What's the conspiracy theories? I see. Like I said, I saw people sort of talking about.
Now it was Matty who ruined it. His camera cut out.
I'm like, are we back the other way? No.
Yeah.
My camera's fine. It's your video software, Tim.
Oh, sorry. I'm only streaming to like 4 different platforms.
Excuses. You've got a question in entropy as well.
Oh yes, it's from Matty Rosenberg Live. Why is Dave always late? Well, Dave was on time. I was actually late getting me out. It was you on Skype who doesn't know how to use it. I told you half an hour beforehand to make sure you got the latest update, and I had to bloody call you, and it's like, where's Skype? Bleh.
No, it wasn't.
Matty would rather quibble over trifles than talking about the news out of America.
I want to hear these conspiracy theories.
Put it this way. It's first of all, it's American news, so who gives a shit? I mean, it's Democratic primary, so really double who cares. I mean, it's not like it's the actual election. I mean, if it was someone, if they picked a candidate and there was a debate and there was something interesting that happened, then I care. But
the interesting part is the Buttigieg connection to this app. And his untimely announcement of his success before the app had successfully tallied. There appears to be a strong evidence that there is a conspiracy from the Democratic Party to push Buttigieg ahead of the far more likely candidates. I mean, this is a mayor from a small town who's not really well known.
Yeah.
And a lot of people voting for him are finding out about him after they've voted, like that lady who found out that he was gay after she voted for him and wanted her card back. But it seems to be, through this app and all of the events that occurred at this otherwise boring event, that they are trying to push this unlikely and unwinnable candidate ahead, probably to stop Bernie from winning, which he probably would if they weren't meddling with things. So if there's fraud, this is going to be big news, even though it seems like small fries.
I understand. So I understand the point there, but the thing is, still, I mean, so the Democrats being corrupt with their own candidates isn't exactly.
It's nothing new.
News, isn't that what they've been doing forever? That's just Democrats.
But it's good news because they're making the foolish decision to put this guy forward because I think they're afraid of Bernie. And if that's correct, and if Buttigieg goes all the way, because the Iowa Caucus has a lot of influence on the rest of the process, if he goes all the way, Trump is absolutely going to win, and that's going to change things.
White working class voters are not going to vote for a homosexual president.
They actually are. It's the people who are not going to vote for him are the blacks, because there was also another encounter where he had with a black voter. Where it's like, what, you do what in the butt?
No, I don't think that's the case. Well, obviously, that's for the blacks, but regarding the white working class in America will not vote for a
Yeah,
homosexual.
we're talking about flyover country. We're talking about the real
thing,
Americans.
Yeah, like real Americans. Real Americans are not going to vote. This is like I'm talking about the states that actually won office for Trump are really unlikely to vote for Pete Buttigieg. But that said, demographics are more important anyway. So blacks might say that, but they're still going to vote for a Democrat. Same with Hispanics. That the non-whites are going to vote 2-1 for the Democrats, no matter. They could put up a literal rabbit. Have you ever seen that South Park episode where the Pope is a rabbit? And it's like, that's why it's got the big hat. I mean, most Democrat voters would vote for a rabbit or a pig, a literal pig, if they put it up. Because they just vote Democrat because that's who they vote for. They do it for ethnic in-group preference. They do it for enforced status. They do it for all these reasons that have nothing to do with the actual candidates or the policies.
Do you think there's still a chance that Hilary Clinton could swoop in?
Also, there was that Babylon Bee article. What is that? Hillary Toff Clintonoff wins the Iowa primary.
Yeah, the thing is, I still suspect that Hillary is planning some way of just
Don't forget
Bloomberg.
He's not being competitive until Super Tuesday.
Bloomberg is nothing. Hillary is the one you got to still watch.
Look,
you don't give up on
the setup.
That's where
they
it.
Can knock Bernie out now.
Yeah,
they can, because they won't be able to. If it came down to Hillary and Bernie again, Bernie's going to kick her ass because nobody has faith in Hillary.
Yeah,
but if they can knock Bernie out nice and early with a stunt like this, then it would make strategic sense for Hillary to swoop in later
and for me,
take their impossible gay candidate and throw him out and come in as the strong whammon, to win the day.
Yeah, for me, this is the 4D chess that's going on. For me, this is why this topic is interesting, because you don't give up on world domination that easily. She might be thinking, oh well, maybe I should save it till 2024, but then she's like, well, maybe I won't be alive then. Hillary Clinton wants to rule the world, and when I see all this weird stuff going on, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, it doesn't make sense. I'm wearing my tinfoil hat, but it makes sense if she's involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you can imagine the performance when they drag her out because it's falling apart for the Democrats because they don't have a viable candidate.
Yes.
Then she'll come in like the responsible grandma.
Yeah. She wants the Democrats to beg her to come back.
Yeah.
They're
going to do what the ALP did with Crud. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Remember how Spillard was going to get her ass whooped?
Yep.
So they rolled her and brought Crud back, and then all of a sudden there was a contest, and he still lost, obviously, because he's Kevin Rudd and no one likes him.
Yeah.
But it could be that's the case. Like it could be that they're going to do the same thing, but she'll still lose. I think
she'll still lose. But what if they rig the actual the presidential election as well?
Well, that's what Trump was warning about in 2016, and Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 3 million. A lot of that was due to the demographic change and diversity in California, and this is what
New York, in New York and those states.
This is what Nick
I think
Fenton.
America might be approaching the point where the white middle class grassroots right wing are uncomfortable enough that if someone like Hillary or Bernie or even Buttigieg want that, they would say fuck democracy, because we know that if Trump wins, the left are not going to accept it and they're going to escalate to war. They're ready to do it. They're ready to do it. And the question is whether the right are ready to do the same if they've lost. And I think it's probably getting near to that point where the discomfort is high enough.
You sort of nailed it on the head there. Hit the nail on the head, so to speak, in that we got to get out of this idiotic idea of trying to win election after election. The system's rigged and democracy sucks anyway. So this is why I'm sort of like, I'm a bit surprised that we're even talking about this because I'm off democracy. I don't care about democracy. I don't believe in democracy anymore. I mean, I'll talk about it regarding the Australian elections because it's something we talk about and it affects our everyday lives. But too many stupid people vote. Too many parasites vote. Parasitism is too. It's too easy to be a parasite. I mean, you have a look at who gets into office. Democracy is just it's politics done WWF style. It's all for show
and
ultimately
circuses.
Yeah, it's crap. It's bullcrap. The real rulers are the financial elite, the globalist financial elite. Someone in the chat, RW, just said, "What's your alternative?" I've said that on my live stream many times. It's propertarian law with the divine right of kings, and that's the way it should be. But the king should have to do military service in order to qualify for kingship, and his power should be limited by a propertarian constitution, and that would solve all our problems.
By military service, I'm pretty sure you mean a campaign of conquest.
Absolutely,
which would work, you know.
And the king should lead every charge. Yeah.
Where the king should be in the king should have to fight on the front lines. The king, in order to qualify for any kind of aristocratic position, the individual should have to do at least a 4-year frontline term in the military, and they should have to serve their people and put their life on the line.
He'll have to be the general, and we're talking in a grassroots way. He'll have to be a leader who steps forward organically, and the people love him, and they crown him. The people crown him. You know, at least the men of action who are going to make the decisions of the future because they are willing to do the violence necessary to do it. Will crown the one among them who stands out as the leader. That's how kings are crowned.
Well, that's how the first king's crowned. I mean,
in revolutionary context.
I'm more concerned. I'm more concerned about the longevity of the system, and that's where you talk about the divine right of kings. So this is regarding the service. That's when we already have one. But yeah, of course. So the first king, a true king crowns himself. That's the saying. A true king crowns himself. So that they basically, what that means is the true king will, like you said, will rise up above everyone, and people will say, "You're the king," and then he will say, "All right, I'm the king," and that's how it works.
So who is
people?
When will he emerge?
Well, when the Lord decides that we require a king, then it will emerge. He will emerge spontaneously, but we have to put in the effort to make it to wake people up. It's sort of like a chicken or the egg thing, like who comes first, God or our actions. I think they both work in tandem.
Well, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, I could be wrong. I don't really care either way. But I'm pretty sure that this or the next election in the US will be the last the last election of a unified America. States will begin to secede after this one or the one after it. And there will be, an increase in violence and civil, disharmony in America. It's the fall of Rome happening before our eyes. And as you said before, Matty, America is the new Babylon, and its days are done. It's crumbling. But that doesn't mean that the land or the people will not exist. It just means that it's a reshaping and a reformation is coming.
Well, Babylon.
It will be down to men of action deciding what that reformation is going to look like.
Yeah. A couple of points there. I mean, Babylon is a spiritual Babylon as much as a physical place, and it's just the spiritual home of world government, and that is most definitely America right now. And secondly, the other point I was going to make is that I know you follow John Mark stuff, and other people might not, but he's talking about how isn't Virginia that have done all the gun control stuff?
Yeah, that's flipped blue.
Yeah, where West Virginia, another Virginia, I think has said, I think it's West Virginia. I'm pretty sure that is. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, their governor has basically said, well, if you vote to each county, if you want to vote to come and join our state, then you're allowed to do that, and that's the start of that secession process. People are going to start wanting to secede, and as soon as Texas turns blue, which it will, Texas will flip blue, and once Texas flips blue, Republicans will understand that they can't win another election due to demographics. They won't win another election without Texas.
Yeah, Virginia's flipped, and New Mexico is now permanent blue, so is Colorado and Nevada. Texas and Florida, they'll be the big states to flip blue. That's why Trump, his path to victory was in the Rust Belt northern states with the whites, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Minnesota, you wouldn't consider that a white state because that's where all the Somalis are going, because obviously that's where Ilhan Omar is from, but she's just there. She didn't get there because of diversity. She's representing the people there. So Minnesota, that went for Hillary in 2016, won't flip anytime soon.
Yeah, so Republicans won't win very soon. There's that prophecy. There are a couple of prophecies that Donald Trump will be the last president. Essentially, Donald Trump will be the last president of the United States.
Yeah, well, it's possible. Yeah, of the United States. It doesn't mean that there won't be another pope, but the states will not be united. It could just be that one or two states secede from the union and become a new nation, and then the rest of America tries to carry on under the same federal model. But as soon as one state leaves, it's the beginning of the end. It's just like Brexit has finally gone through. It's the beginning of the end for the EU, and they know it. Give it another 10 years and there will be many more countries who break away from that union. Globalism is collapsing in on itself, thank Christ.
Hey, on that one, so the other night I was having a discussion with some mates, and I was making the point, like, now that Britain is gone, as soon as other countries see that Britain is actually going to be okay, the rest of the sheep are just going to leave the EU pen. And so then I was asked, who's going to be first? And I said Italy. And I was told that's rubbish. What do you guys reckon? Who do you reckon is going to be the next country after Great Britain to leave the EU?
Poland or Hungary?
Italy.
You reckon Italy?
If the establishment keep ganging up on Matteo Salvini, his votes are just going to keep going until basically he can steamroll the nation out of the EU, and because the migrants are still going to go up the Mediterranean.
Yep.
I'm going to take the outsider. I'm going to go for France, because no one said France, and I think you have the Yellow Vest protests are going, and they are rejecting globalism and Macron, so they could be a cheeky outsider there for leaving the EU. Now, lads and ladettes, I'm referring to you, David. I've got to run.
Don't go. This has been one of the most epic Uncuckables ever. You got to stay.
I can't be bothered, honestly.
You've been pretty lazy lately, Matty. There's been no Saturday night stream where you've just been ranting about whatever.
I wanted to do the Saturday night stream. The last two ones that I've cancelled, I swear to you, I have wanted to do them, but I had a fairly serious issue on Saturday night, and Dave can tell you off camera if he feels like it. But I was otherwise predisposed, and I've been just focusing on other things at the moment. But the channel's sort of gone on the back end, but I'm going to keep doing the live streams, and I'm going to keep doing the Saturday night live streams as well, provided I can actually do them. I was literally unable to do it on Saturday night, so that's why there was no stream. And the same with the last time, I was unable to do both of them. But the week before last Saturday, I was able to, and obviously I'll keep doing the Monday night streams. My content's probably in terms of actual amount is going to drop off, at least temporarily. Just because I've got other things that I've got to focus on.
Well, it's good to see you anyway, Matty. Yeah. Good to have you on here tonight and catch up a bit, even if it's brief.
Yeah, well, Dave, we have to get Foxy on our show.
Absolutely, come on.
Yeah.
It'd be epic.
Yeah, well, I'm in a position to do that now, as long as it's not raining too heavily, because that fucks my internet. I'm
we'll just talk about God the whole time. It'll be amazing.
I'm planning a Sunday night God stream, but I have to read the Bible, the KJV, cover to cover first. I mean, I read the NLT, and not all of it, but a decent amount of it. I read the NLT, which is the New Living Translation, and I'm reading the KJV, which is the King James Version, and there's no comparison. KJV is just like
magic.
The NLT sucks. The NLT's crap. Yeah, the KJV is magic.
The New Living Translation is like it's like a film adaptation,
Yeah.
script or something.
It's like to me, it's like a cheap
a
Chinese
retelling
hobby.
that really misses. Yeah, totally. Yeah, don't touch it.
It misses the true emphasis. It misses like the actual, like the true meaning and the true. There's not as much power behind it, and it's it says things like pretty sure this is the NLT, but it could be the NIV. I'm pretty sure it's both the NIV and the NLT. It does things like, aside from changing Lucifer to Jesus, which is blasphemous in the extreme, like it literally does that. Go and have a look.
Really?
Lucifer appears once in the Bible, in the KJV. It appears once, and if you go and cross-reference it with the NLT and the NIV and all the others, it turns Lucifer into the morning star, and the morning star is Jesus Christ. It's a reference to the sun. So, and then there's other things like they change fornication to sexual immorality. It's like, it's like fornication is a very specific and very clear and a very strong word, isn't it? But sexual immorality is kind of like, like degeneracy. It's,
generalized,
generalized. It's a very generalized thing. It's like, what does that even mean? I mean, what does sexual immorality mean? Does it doesn't? Yeah.
These days, I think it refers to heterosexual marriage. In the current year, yeah. In the current year, that's what they mean. It, yeah.
That's there. Well, that's probably what that's the reason that it was made. But anyway, KJV is just amazing. I'm reading the KJV on my phone, and every time it comes to a word that I don't understand, I've got like dictionary.com open on another tab. So I'm just like, what does this mean? Like, wherefore? What is it? Wherefore means why. I didn't know. Wherefore means why. It's like, well, that's strange. There's words like that. Tither and come tither, or tither means there, I think, from memory. It's like hither is here and thither is there. It's like there's words like that which means people don't read it because it's a little bit harder to read. But once you get over the archaic language, it's an amazing book. It's so much better than any of these crappy satanic modern versions. Anyway, that's what I'm going to leave it at.
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
All right.
Amen, boys.
Cheerio, Matty.
See, Matty.
Get cracking reading. Oh, we'll bring you back to the single.
Oh, there's my head. I am the great and powerful Oz. Shrink me, please.
Some on-air shrinkage.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us.
And now, as we said at the beginning, we are live on not just the Uncuckables YouTube channel, but also the Unshackled and Rational Rise. The Unshackled and Rational Rise channels are monetized, so you can send super chats directly through YouTube. If you're watching on Uncuckables, we use Entropy, so I'll just put the link in again if you want to go and join in Entropy. Now that Matty's shut up, I can sort of do more housekeeping stuff as it's
see how it's trying to keep him going.
But have got two super chats here on the Unshackled channel. There's one from the Dusty Bogan. He just did his Thirsty Thursday stream before we came on air. They only sent through $1 Australian dollar. How am I supposed to do a beer bong with just $1 Australian dollar?
You'll have to give a couple more, eh?
And then $2 Australian dollars from Senator Slayer, who said to Matty's animation career, because yes, he did that.
Yeah, I think Matty is very quickly becoming the Australian Murdoch. He's got a really good video.
Though I assume the $2 is contractually mine because it was sent through the Unshackled's stream. Oh, do we want to go back to the?
Oh, it's a butt gig. Well, I think we can
made talk about the acquittal now. Because we like American politics and Matty doesn't. He likes to drive the bus.
Yeah.
But we could talk about the acquittal and Judas Romney.
Oh yes, was it his Mormon? Is that real Christianity to you?
No, absolutely not.
James?
Well, look, I don't know enough about the Church of the Latter-day Saints. I know a couple of people who are part of it, and they're good people, and their faith is definitely in Jesus. But Mitt Romney's a scumbag and a total gamma and a traitor. and he'll be remembered in history as a Judas, as the one and only Republican Judas in this situation.
Yeah, you've got to wonder what he actually had to gain from doing that as well.
Well, he's going to get
Was it-
praise from.
Was it 30 pieces of silver, maybe? Yeah.
It's like, what is it? The New South Wales energy and environment minister Matt Keane says we need to do more on climate change. The Liberal New South Wales environment minister, and of course the Guardian and ABC all love him, and that it seems that basically the idolation to them of the establishment and those who control mainstream media is more important to them than actual people.
Yeah. I believe there was something in the Bible about that, like all this can be yours if you just bow down and worship me. You got to wonder why he would do that.
Also,
power. Don't trust any of them on either side. That's the important thing, and that's where Matty's absolutely right in his contempt for democracy and the whole process. Is that we can't trust any of them. And we shouldn't put our faith in Trump or anyone, other than Jesus Christ, because this is all any grab for large swaths of geographical power is of the devil. It's Babylon. It's the Tower of Babel, and it's wrong and evil. We got to get back to localism over globalism, which is extremely hard to do in a globalized and interconnected world. But when the shit hits the fan, or when the demographic landslide occurs and nobody knows how to keep the power on anymore, then we'll be forced back into localism and things will be better.
Hey, I have just got another super chat on the Unshackled channel from Port Film Co-op who says Jesus is the answer.
Yeah, good on him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good on him.
Amen. Yeah.
So on that localism thing, like I know we're tangenting straight off the actual impeachment and we're going on our own thing again here. Because we've got a guy who goes by the name of Mike Rusade, who's written some really good articles on XYZ, and he was discussing the three options that we have. Number one is to actually find a way to influence democratic politics. Number two is to go for some kind of localism or regionalism. And number three is to basically live as barbarians, as the ancient Goths used to, and sort of keep ourselves sort of separate from the degenerate influence of civilization, and sort of basically live as raiders like our ancestors did. With the localism, do you sort of, how do you see that working? Like, do you see sort of regions? Do you see city-states? Do you see like something smaller than that? Like, and how do you think we would be able to defend ourselves?
Well, you don't get there. You don't get to localism by the global democratic methods that we're criticizing here. You get there through becoming barbarians and becoming raiders, and it has to be tribal. That's the natural way to live, is tribally. So people will revert to the family to begin with, and then it will be groups of families, and this is what I really want to encourage in the most wholesome way I can for men of the West, is to invest in your brothers, like find your bros and hit the gym with them and marry your children to their children and build new nations voluntarily, in love and in community. Create new communities that strive to be as independent of the global system as possible, and work together with people who have common values and common beliefs. So it's the local church, it's your families, it's your neighbors, it's your neighborhood. That's where the new tribes and nations emerge, because that's where they actually exist, where people meet face to face and work together. So it will take a massive collapse, and it will take the cities and the infrastructures that emerge out of the cities to stop working, for people to be forced into it. But in the meantime, the best way to prepare is to not live in the city to start with, not live near the metropolitan centers at all, and to know who your bros are and be geographically close to them and invest heavily in those relationships and I'm talking over a couple of generations, like 2 or 3 generations here.
Yes.
The goal would be to grow a new nation out of 2 or 3 families, or 4 or 5 families. You fast forward that over 3 or 4 generations and you have a nation, and that can then be a state if you've got enough men.
Absolutely. One thing I've been finding, just the change that comes over you when you hit the gym. It's something that I wish I'd done when I was I did do a bit of it in my 20s, but I did it very badly. I wish I'd done it better, and I'm here now. But it's amazing. You have a physical transformation, you have a mental transformation, your self-control, and your ability to concentrate improves, and it's like a spiritual change comes over you as well. There's a great line. I can't remember who it's by, but I think it's quite ancient. It might have been one of the Aristotle or somebody like that. Was saying like, if you don't educate your warriors, and if you something along the lines of, you don't want your warriors to be brutes and your educated people to be wimps. Yeah.
Well, that's where we're at, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, we can shift it.
Yeah. Now James has gone on a tangent, which is, I didn't include you in the poll.
No, I encouraged that tangent.
James over on Entropy. Who's the
I was
worst?
asked a question.
Yes. Who's the worst tangentar? Oh, but you ran with it and took it to the Tanzania.
Well, look, I'll say this. For those who want to continue that conversation about developing yourself as a man, developing agency, and looking to the future and what we're going to do to be ready for the future, make sure after the Uncuckables at 10:30 you stay on Rationalize TV on YouTube and watch my returning show tonight of the James Fox Higgins show. I'll be going straight from this into that, and we're going to be talking about those kinds of things all the time. So that's the place for it.
Thursday nights are going to be epic nights now, because of course it's Dusty's Thirsty Thursday first up, then us, and then James's show.
You've basically got no excuse to watch the television.
Yeah. Which
Australia is claiming, independent media of Australia are claiming Thursday nights.
Yeah, that's it.
And
No
Rational
more footy
Rise
show.
TV is going to keep growing as well. As a platform
that's
itself.
it this year. It's going to get huge. That's right. Yep. So, do we want to talk about Nancy Pelosi's stunt?
Oh yeah, we learnt today
Union.
that it wasn't a spontaneous thing where she just decided to tear it up at the end, because there were photos released by the New York Post, I saw it on, that the pages had a slight tear because she's so old that she they needed to start the tear up for her. So her.
Is she like some kind of Montgomery Burns who can't tear a piece of paper?
I'll give you the tearing of a lifetime. So she definitely couldn't open a jar.
If she had to start, because we got to be fair. I'm pretty sure it was like 3 A4 pages. So if she was trying to do a clean tear from a straight edge, her hands might have turned to dust. So it was good planning, good forethought on that.
Yeah, so it wasn't spontaneous because Trump didn't shake her hand. That theory is just out the window now. Or maybe Trump was tipped off about it, that it was going to happen, or he saw the pre-tears.
They already hate each other plenty.
Yeah. I've seen there's the meme where it shows what Nancy Pelosi was actually reading, and it says, "This is Donald Trump. We've cut off your we've replaced your vodka with water. You're officially cut off."
Yeah, I saw another meme that was she got rushed to hospital and already they're out of Chardonnay.
Yeah. So basically, I actually haven't seen it. So
I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. I played it last night on Wilms Front.
She got his State of the Union address or something. How did she get the
I can
paper?
play it again. Let me just get the clip up here, because I'll play it for you since you haven't seen it, Dave. Let me just.
All I know is that Trump was
here we go.
acquitted, and we all knew that it was never going to get past the Senate. So he put the paper back and she tore her up.
Why did you rip the speech up, Madam Speaker?
Because it was the courteous thing to do, considering the alternative.
Wow.
I swear
That's
to God,
childish.
she's only still breathing because she drinks the blood of babies.
Yeah.
She's partially embalmed already.
Yeah.
And
She's got this little girly voice inside the body of a Dementor or something.
And you see that she was wearing white because the Democrat women, they all wore white.
Suffragette white.
Yeah.
What?
Well,
How?
it's also the traditional Democrat Party garb from 100 years ago. It actually does look. It gives you a bit of a
Back
an
when
eerie
they were
feeling when you see this these white garments just in the crowd there.
Yeah, but back when they actually look out for white interests, yeah. Right.
Well, some could say that they're still marginalizing the blacks.
Yeah, they just want them on the plantation, yeah. So yeah, the thing about the impeachment as well, we all knew it was going to fail from the very beginning. Like, it was never going to get past the Republican-controlled Senate. So, to my mind, this was just this was a way of, there are several things. It was another way of making the Russia hoax just keep on going and just keep that obstruction going. It's like Donald Trump has come to power basically saying, look, I'm going to sack everybody in Washington and I'm going to put a whole bunch of people in jail. I'm going to put my direct political opponent in jail. He said that to Hillary in the debate. He said, you'd be in jail. What's going on here in America is very serious. Like, they're literally fighting for their lives, because some of these people could quite literally be up on treason charges. So they're going to do everything they can to obstruct Donald Trump. This impeachment was not about impeachment. It was about just finding a way to stop him from being able to concentrate solely on draining the swamp or supporting Israel or whatever he actually wants to do. It was also a way of covering up their own corruption in the Ukraine as well.
Yeah, total projection. Total projection.
I did like Jill Biden, who's Joe Biden's second wife, not actually the mother of Hunter Biden, said, "I'm sick of Trump attacking my children. I know my son Hunter. He's a good boy." I'm paraphrasing.
Okay. Well, she would say.
So it's
that,
sure. A lot of mothers have said that about have said that about their sons. That he couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
There is another super chat here on the Unshackled chat. Portfield Cobb has asked, who can physically fight best in Oz alt media? So there's me, you, Dave, James, Matty, Dusty. Does Dia count? Women shouldn't fight, should they?
Oh, he's actually asking about who's the best fighter.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, that sounds like a super Uncuckables special coming up in the future sometime, where we get together in a boxing gym and duke it out and find out for sure. That would be an epic episode.
I reckon that'd be a lot of fun.
Well, lads used to do at their clubhouse Friday night fight night, and of course the biggest fight was of course Tom Sewell against Neil Erickson, which Tom Sewell won convincingly. But I remember Morgan, he filmed that and it got over, in one day it got over 1,000 views until YouTube locked it for adult content.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Did it get a bit sweaty?
No, it's just that, if boxing, and of course, just because it showed all the gym equipment as well. And we all know that exercise and physical activity is associated with right-wing extremism.
Yeah, that's it. Lifting will make you a fascist, apparently.
And yet the Conor McGregor and Cowboy Cerrone fights, one of the most viewed events of the last 12 months, and plenty of clips of that on YouTube that aren't getting shut down.
Yeah.
So we didn't actually answer the question. So do we need to place bets? And I guess we need to figure out who we're including, don't we?
Yeah, we don't know the answer yet.
He probably doesn't count anymore because he's not really in the alternative media, at least except in the shadows now. But I definitely wouldn't want to fight Blair. I'd like to fight beside Blair. He'd be a good guy to have on your team. You wouldn't want to face off with him.
I've needs to just raise his shoulders, and that's enough to win any sort of public spat.
I've just got this image of you know how in those fight movies where there's the champion of a certain tribe, or like it's just the guy who the good guy's up against, and like it shows just like dozens of lackeys just like charging at him, screaming, all knowing that he's just going to like just knock their blocks off. It's one of those tropes, yeah.
Well, remember when he confronted Dandyman Blair in the pink leotard? He just wanted to ask him a few questions, but Blair's presence was enough for him to flap off and run. Please, get the police.
He freaked out. Yeah.
He's standing up. It's violence.
He's got broad shoulders.
Anyone over 6 foot is violent just by standing up. Yeah.
It could be interesting. Back when I used to play cricket, our coach, he used to put a block behind us. Like you couldn't play 2020 these days because people sort of like walk all over the pitch. But he's saying basically, if you back away from the stumps, you're going to hit this block, and that's the sissies line. I think if the test was up against Blair, it's like, okay, all you got to do is stand your ground. Like, don't take a backward step. That's yeah, and you're doing all right.
Are we really strategizing on how to beat Blair Cottrell in a fight?
I'm just strategizing about how to maintain my honor.
I was going to go that way tonight.
well, that's the only way to actually like give a definitive answer, or who is who can physically fight best in media. If you include Blair, then yeah, it's hands down he's the winner.
Yeah. I could go a bit of Fight Club.
I mean, I've never seen him fight, and I guess he's a very well built and strapping man, and that's intimidating enough. But fighting is a different thing, and it's not always the big guy who wins. So
true.
It would be an interesting question, but that's the thing, is we're lovers, not fighters. But don't come for us, or we'll fucking in a figurative way.
Senator Slayer said about his fight against Sewell, I gassed out after 30 seconds. Don't know what that means.
Danger. Well, gassing out is just where you run out of steam in your limbs and you get puffed and you can't really hit very hard anymore.
What was next on we got up to Nancy Pelosi. Well, the fact that she couldn't tear paper, so she wouldn't be able to.
She got gassed.
she got
gassed by the paper.
Dusty Bogan said, "Bring back the biff." If it was in Congress, Nancy Pelosi would be like.
Who would win a fight between Nancy Pelosi and Hilary Clinton? Oh no, Hilary Clinton. Yeah.
Well, Hilary Clinton, she fell on the steps to. She was off to some place, and then she waved goodbye, and then she tripped over on the way into the plane.
I don't that's fake news, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, we saw it. It's on video. Yeah. I remember when she had that. She fainted during the 2016 presidential race, and she had to be basically. Actually, they needed a lot of people to put her in that car, so she must have been quite heavy.
Yep. But
Well, it seems to be a common affliction, and Angela Merkel has it too, and I'm pretty sure it's because they eat babies. Cannibalism has this, I've forgotten the name of it, but there's this disease that's quite common among the Papua New Guinean savages from their cannibalism, where they basically become extremely faint and they get the jitters and they fall over and die. I'm pretty sure that's what Hillary and Angela Merkel.
Excuse me, the Papua New Guineans, they just have a different diet or delicacies, just like the Chinese, eating bats and mice and crabs and live frogs. It's
their culture, yeah.
Yeah, it's their culture.
Yeah.
Did you include crabs in that list? That doesn't. Nah, crabs are okay. You can eat crabs.
Yeah,
it's okay to eat crab.
Just not get crabs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, someone's reminded me there was the Eat the Babies lady at AOC. I called her a real life Russian bot because she had a Russian accent.
Yes,
and made AOC look
even phenomenal.
Yeah,
it was so good. I love that.
The reason why I say she was a real life Russian bot because she had a Russian accent and then she just disappeared. Nobody was able to track her down. So she clearly
nobody found her.
Pardon?
Nobody found her.
No, not that I know of.
That's
she just jumped back into. Yeah, she's like, was it Agent Smith?
Gee, maybe she was from the future.
Wow, yeah, just. Yeah,
it's a bit of Army of 12 Monkeys stuff
that come out around this stuff. Like the guy today He was screaming about, slashing the throats of every Republican because Trump didn't get
He
convicted.
looked actually like a demon. Did you see his face? It looks like
No.
basically he's sort of.
Yeah.
Can you show us that
absolutely
footage?
demon-possessed.
Let's see that footage.
I haven't got it with me.
Okay.
But yeah, he looks like his actual like face is melted and it's like demonic.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen. Yeah.
It was that he
If you
saw.
want to see it, I know a lot of people tweeted it today. I know Mark Dice tweeted it not that long ago. So if you look at Mark Dice's feed, you'll find it there. But
Okay.
absolutely demonic, a totally demon possessed person who really just needs to be put out of their misery. The demon, that is.
AOC,
On
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she didn't turn up to the State of the Union. She boycotted. I think it was Ilhan Omar because she had the thing on her head. It's sort of not a...
I believe it's called a rag.
Well, it's not. It doesn't look like a normal hijab. It's like some sort of like ancient Egyptian... What do you call those things they wear on their head?
A water vessel.
Like the mummies had on their tombs. Like that looks like what she wears.
Okay. Yeah.
Of course.
Very regal. Regal. But AOC said she didn't want to come because she didn't want to normalize Trump's lawlessness, and I just thought that was hilarious, as if AOC's presence normalizes anything.
She has such respect for the law that she wants to tear down the sovereign border of the United States and just let everyone illegally cross over from Mexico into the US.
That's the way their rhetoric shifts like quicksand. This is the word they've been using around the impeachment is lawlessness. Trump is lawless, and Pelosi, AOC, all of these Democrats have been hammering that word, and these sound bites are handed down from on high. From their puppet masters, but it changes like quicksand because next minute they will be complaining about the law and talking about how the law is wrong and evil and the law needs to be thrown out, and they're all against the First and Second Amendments in the Constitution, so they're absolutely a lawless bunch. And as always, social justice warriors always project. That's exactly what they've done with this whole impeachment thing.
The other thing on that thing is that they've been complaining that the Democrats blocked them from presenting evidence, yet they're the ones who the whole time they've been the Democrats, they've conspired with the media to keep Eric Ciaramarilla's name out of the media, the whistleblower's name out of the media.
Did you just say the whistleblower's name?
No, I didn't say his name. Yeah. It got to the point where the Chief Justice actually refused to ask a question the way it was written because it would name Eric Ciaramarilla. So
But there's no law against saying the whistleblower's name.
No.
But of course, Facebook, we're going to get to that with Buttigieg. That they both went to Harvard together. They claim that they never met at Harvard, but Buttigieg, it's verified that he knew two of Zuckerberg's roommates who started Facebook. And I did mention before that Zuckerberg was an early advisor, so this shows how this mayor of a no-name place is able to win the Iowa Caucus.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No, he's not the mayor of a no-name place. It's called South Bend, and I know about it because that is where E. Michael Jones is from. So there's some good people in South Bend.
Sure.
Well, I didn't know where South Bend was, but E. Michael Jones should be a mayor for life.
Candidate, yes.
Mayor for life. What is that? What's his position on propertarianism? Could he just be the Duke of South Bend?
I reckon Ian they would like it, but it would be a Catholic variant of it. But that's the beauty of propertarianism, is that it's a model that can work in a whole bunch of different contexts, and people can build their own nations and their own laws, and their own cultures. It's about protecting the commons as they are, not about a particular kind of commons. So you could have a Catholic propertarian state and an atheist one potentially.
I just like it how it's out of the one town you get just a yin and a yang. That's quite incredible. Yeah. That's all I got to say there. Yeah.
That's the melting pot. society we live in. I mean, it's the same. I'm pretty radical, compared to a lot of people geographically near to me, but that's how it goes.
Well, we're in Melbourne.
I've been living in the belly of the beast for a long time. Yeah, and quite close to
and of course, we're now home to the new Greens. The previous Greens leader was Senator for Victoria, Richard Di Natale, but Adam Banton, he's the member for Melbourne, which takes in inner city Melbourne, Richmond, North Melbourne, Kensington. So he's had an iron grip of that seat for 12 years, and he did his PhD on Marxism.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's an actual Marxist.
Yeah, Rethinking Marx was part of the title.
Yeah. Not rejecting, just rethinking and how we can repackage him, huh?
Yeah, repackaging. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, give it a new seasoning so that people don't gag on it so hard.
Yeah, we'll only kill 50 million people this time. Were you going to tell us about, because I haven't seen it, but I understand that he was grilled a little bit. Like he had an interview and he was just Adam Bant.
Adam
Bant. Yeah. I didn't. Yeah, about because he considers you an enemy if you're in the coal, fossil fuel industry.
Yes.
And he's already said Lucas Roses has done countless articles on Adam Bant's rhetoric and history, that he's called for climate trials, that he wants Australians to rise up against the Morrison government. Remember how triggered the left were and thought that there was going to be some sort of a bogan revolution when we called Julia Gillard Jewel liar, but they're allowed to say fuck Abbott, fuck ScoMo, and call for various conservative politicians and leaders' assassination.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
But if you say Jewel liar, not only are you endangering her life, but you're also a misogynist as well.
Well, we ditched that witch, didn't we? Yeah.
Binary Agenda is sent through $2 Australian on the Unshackled live chat for tearing of a lifetime ref doing God's work. Thank you very much, Binary Agenda, which is, of course...
Great name.
Two genders, because... It's funny that with the Greens leadership, Marine Faruqi, the New South Wales Greens senator, Osman Faruqi's mother, who, he used to work for, was a junkie ABC, works for some breakfast podcast, which I think no one's ever heard of now. But she's called for Greens members to have a vote for who the leaders are. But she wants co-leaders now. She wants a male and a female co-leader, which means
that's pretty binary. I think that's really insensitive to all the shades of grey between male and female. Like there's at least 184,622 genders, and really maybe we need a king or equivalent for each of them if we're going to be fair.
Absolutely. There just aren't enough seats in Parliament
to account for all 10
genders.
10 members, the Greens Federal Caucus.
Yeah.
So only potentially 10 genders.
Yeah. I guess each one could, can you identify as multiple genders? Like, why do we prevent people from...
Yeah, why do you have to have
choosing multiple genders?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It depends on the mood,
Well, because gender fluidity, the concept, that's only where you go from one gender to another. So you can only still be one gender. And of course, Daniel Andrews has changed the birth certificates now, so you can change every 6 months. Why can't you have...
That's terribly restrictive, yes.
Like what if you're feeling like two genders at once?
Absolutely. Why just two genders at once?
Why not two individuals, or 3 or 4 or 6 individuals at once? Why can't I have 6 different passports for each of the personalities inside of me?
Absolutely.
They're all legitimate. They should be honoured.
Well, the Greens, they consider us all global citizens. There should be a UN passport.
Absolutely.
Where you can just go anywhere that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good luck with that. Straight to the gulag, I think, is where we'll go when that time comes.
But the new they have got deputy co-leaders. So Larissa Waters, the senator for Queensland, and Nick McKim, the senator for Tasmania. So they've got a male and female deputy leader, but
So
Mari-
woke. So
yeah,
woke.
Maureen Faruqi and Sarah Hanson-Young, they missed out on the deputy
I was going to
leadership.
say it's a very white leadership. Really the Greens are too white.
And their only female leader, Christine Milne, she had blonde hair.
Yeah, they've got to do something about that. Yeah, they're
yeah,
far
yeah,
too
And they
white.
all speak. Have you noticed that they all speak English as well?
Yeah.
Maureen Faruqi has a still has a Pakistani accent.
Oh, but what is an accent? Like saying that it's Pakistani, like is sort of that's still profiling her. Like it's. I've made this point before. Like, why do we see like Indians as Indians? Like, why don't we see like Africans as Indians? Like, India itself is like we like to think of it as a very diverse place, but like until India is overrun with Chinese people and Africans and South Americans, even like India is not like multicultural as far as I'm concerned. So
India it's a multi-ethnic state, but full of local ethnicities.
yes, yeah, but
Yeah. Well, it's like China. China. It's not just the Chinese. You've got the Han Chinese who are the majority of the population, but you've got lots of other ethnic minorities in there that make up Greater China. And I guess President Xi's really worked hard to try to unify under the banner of the People's Republic and to bring China together. But it's made up of lots of different ethnicities who are local ethnicities who have come up together. It's like Europe, right? We've got the Anglos, we've got the Italos, the Germanics. Like, we're not all the same people. The Celts are not the same as the Anglos, but we've all come up together in geographical proximity. And so over time, there's been a sort of an understanding and a common culture formed that we generally call European now. And it was a beautiful thing until the beginning of the 20th century when they came in and started tearing it apart with bombs and all the rest of it. So
brother wars,
making them fight each other, making us Europeans fight each other over bullshit money. So China is like Europe in that way. India's like Europe in that way. Africa, I guess you could say as well. It's dangerous to oversimplify the ethnicity thing, but it's also true in broad strokes.
We have got a super chat on entropy from Peter V, a big fan of all of our work, for $3 Australian. Thank you very much. And he's also branching out. He's going he's able to blend in amongst the enemies because he filmed the Invasion Day footage in Melbourne. And he's also been doing a lot of tributes to some of the local regressives.
He got some amazing shots of some big fat lefties, didn't he? Yeah.
So his super chat is, even with demographic change, the Democrats will split into two separate parties, as in the Democratic Socialist Party, thereby a three-way future election between Republican Democrats and Democratic Socialists.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if they manage to hold the whole ship together long enough for that to be the case, that's how it could go. But I think stuff's going to fall apart much quicker than they can pull that off.
Well, maybe if the Republican Party can't win, maybe then if the Democratic Socialists split off, then maybe Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk, they can join the Democrats, because they do say, as even the National Review people, we're the true liberals.
Yeah, well,
you
know where they're really going with all of that, don't you?
And do you know that Charlie Kirk is...
Yeah, that'll just the Zionist Party. It's called the Zionist Party. That moment.
Well, Democrats, they were Zionists for many years. I mean, they were the first party to have a Jewish person, a Jewish American on the ticket. Joe Lieberman was Al Gore's running mate in 2000. Obviously, didn't win. But Dianne Feinstein, she's been there for, 40 years? Before that, she was the mayor of San Francisco. Chuck Schumer obviously has a Jewish ancestry as well. So, yeah,
quite a lot of them
Democrats have had a...
It's almost like they're overrepresented.
Well, think about this. This is not an original observation. This came from Devon Stack, whose work I appreciate very much, from Blackpilled. the black pill. I can never remember if it's black pilled or the black pill. Anyway, check it
Black
out. Devon
pilled.
Stack.
Yeah, black pilled.
But he black pilled. Thank you. He commented. Let me get this straight. He said we have a communist Jew neck and neck with a gay guy with a Jewish husband to battle it out with the Israel first president who has Jewish children, for control of America. Is it just coincidence, or is it that high Jewish IQ at play here? Which is it,
Yeah.
So it's we know there's a lot of Jewish representation in America, and they seem to really want to work hard to blend in and call themselves white when it suits them, so they can bitch about white privilege like David Schwimmer did recently, and then when it suits them, they'll just as adamantly say, no, we're not white, we're Jewish, we're a different people, and
What's that?
That's the Jewish revolutionary spirit at play here. That's probably why they don't want Bernie Sanders to be the leading candidate for the Democrats.
Well, who was it? Jonah Hill. He's one of the Hollywood actors. Said that Hollywood it won't be truly progressive unless white men give up their positions of power. And of course, if you look up, Jonah Hill is Jewish.
Yes. That seems to be a pattern that we see as well, where Jewish
Race
guys
baiting.
will say that. They say that all the time on Twitter. Like, there's the noticer, isn't it? Like, where it just like tallies like anti-white tweet after anti-white tweet, and then, oh, by the way, yes, I'm Jewish. Yeah.
Because people are saying, why don't you give up your place in Hollywood?
Oh, but he's not white.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is it can look like self-flagellation, like, oh, we have, we're so woke, we're feminist men, we want the best for the lady folk and for the world, but then when it actually comes to the power grab, then the identity will shift back to being Jewish. And no, we're not white, we're on your side, we're the Jews. We've been leading the woke revolution for decades, if not centuries now. Like, we are absolutely the friends of the minorities, and so many
and their landlords
really proudly they proudly claim that title as being revolutionaries for progressivism and multiculturalism and all of that. They're very proud of it, and it seems to just be the cultural pattern of their people. And this is what I meant earlier about tribalism. It's just when we get to the point where we cannot coexist anymore with different tribes who have different modes of operation, and we revert to being back with people who have common values and common ancestry with ourselves, and that tends to be more stable and harmonious, at least for the in-group. So the global in-group is collapsing, and it will get back to being local in-groups, and that'll be better.
Talking about this sort of like analysis of macro just macro changes. There's a piece that came up on the Richardson Post.
Why has it changed its name now? Do you know?
There's just been a bit of toing and froing between just the previous owners. Basically, Harry Richardson is the new editor, and he took over from Larry Pickering after he died, and so now it's basically just the ownership is transferred basically to Harry.
You can't keep using the Pickering Post name?
Unfortunately not. So there was a really interesting article. It was talking about how it was called The Future Does Not Belong to China. And it started off talking about how, like, Japan, like back in the 80s, Japan seemed to be like in the position that China is now. They were buying up all American property, all the good stuff came from Japan. But like they had been able to acquire a lot of American technology through scurrilous means, and they were riding the wave of a demographic boom. There'd been a marriage boom basically in Japan in the 1970s, and that had led to like a baby boom, and so there was there was just a lot of vitality in Japan, and so the that brought them a lot of wealth, and so that brought them the twin problem of just too much comfort. And like it's just part of that cycle of civilization. When things get comfortable, people stop having babies because they focus on materialism. They become selfish, and so
the individual gets weak in comfort, and also the demographic gene pool gets weak over time in a state of comfort.
Exactly, and so China
That's
is
the amazing thing, is that when we face like great challenge, human beings have a tendency to make more babies. Like when the shit's really bad, we breed more.
Yes.
Because it's that instinct for genetic preservation, and it's totally natural. But it's like it's counterintuitive, because you'd think with the hysteria of the climate change cult and the Extinction Rebellion, like go sterilize yourself. It's selfish to have children. Overpopulation and global warming is going to kill us all. They're on a gene death path, but it's because the discomfort that they're talking about is totally false. But when the real discomfort comes, they'll be fighting, and there'll be a lot more fucking too. So yay for that.
Absolutely. Actually, tangenting off that, I actually, how there was the tragedy over the weekend where there were 4 kids in Sydney who were just run over. Well, there were 8 kids and 4 of them died.
Yeah, I interviewed Joel Jamal on Monday's Wilms Front.
Is he
the family?
Yeah, I was wondering if he was, because he's like Lebanese Maronite.
Maronite Christian, which is basically the Lebanese Catholic Church.
Yes. And so, because 3 of them were from the one family, and it was a family of 6 children. So it's a tragedy. And so I actually pointed out, like I did basically a cut and paste article where like I sort of said what happened. I basically cut and paste from the Australian, and then like I just made a point at the end. Look, it's a tragedy what's happened. It'll leave a permanent scar. But this family, they still have 3 kids left. And this is how you keep families resilient, and demographically you remain strong. You have lots of children. And so it got slammed on Facebook, which I understood. Like I knew it was going to, and I understand why people get upset. But it's there to make a point. Like in hard times.
That family's not over. It's not over.
That's it.
They've got 3 more kids. They've got 3 kids who are going to continue. But people get really upset about this stuff. A friend of mine recently got in a scuffle with a feminist who was bitching about people encouraging her to have children. It's like people of our generation have been programmed to think as though our life is all that matters, and the time that we have on Earth is the whole story. You get one life, enjoy the hell out of it, have lots of experience, don't have babies.
Experiences, yes.
As you get, I guess, more red-pilled and right-wing, you tend to think in longer time horizons. So a lot of what I do, I'm thinking about my great-great-great-grandchildren who don't yet exist. But I want to ensure that there's a future for my people.
That's it.
My children, I want my children to live. I want them to have children. And you've got to program the next generation to want that too.
That's it.
And model it to them. You make a very valid point.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wrote it. Yeah. If it had been any Aussie family, their family would be over. Because 3 kids were
gone.
Yeah.
What do they say to us now? Travel the world, live in a pod, eat bugs.
Eat bugs. Yeah, exactly.
Eat the bugs. Yeah.
So tangenting back to China are facing the same demographic decline that has basically put Japan into recession for a generation.
Well, except it's a government policy, the one-child policy.
Yes, but they stopped that. But
recently, recently, they'd had
because they're so worried about it. But the thing about China is now Chinese are getting that same comfort that the Japanese and we in the West have got. So they're going to be heading into that same demographic decline, and a possible recession as well. And so
and some pandemics that are going to potentially wipe out a lot of them, unfortunately.
Yes. And so the takeaway I have for this is that what causes economic growth is actually basic Christian morality, where you have a husband and wife and you have lots of kids in a big family. Because what caused the economic growth in the West after World War II, it was the baby boom. And that was just the apex where we had peace, we had technology, and we had good Christian morality where you still had husbands and wives making big families.
And the generation that had the baby boomers, they weren't called the greatest generation for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And so the takeaway from this, Christianity causes economic growth, not liberalism or like worship of the dollar or like this just materialism which has been elevated above everything else.
And to put it in biblical terms, you shall know the tree by its fruit. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
you look at the civilizations of the world; those who bend the knee to Jesus Christ bear good fruit. Those who don't wither and die and poison the garden around them. So, you know, bend the knee to Jesus, folks. That's the answer.
That's it. That's it.
Oh, we've just ticked over to 10 o'clock, so we might wrap up soon. So James has got a bit of time to prepare for his show. We might just, someone was complaining in the chat they wanted us to talk about, because it's been federal parliament's back this week, and there's we mentioned the Greens change in leadership. But I've also got my notes reminded me that Adam Bandt wants a Green New Deal, which was obviously the policy created and coined by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to decarbonize the economy in how many years? Was it less than 10 years? Because she believes that the world is going to end in, is it 10 years?
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to how you were saying that his thesis was on rethinking Marxism. You've got it right there. Green New Deal. He's just borrowed from Roosevelt.
Do you know which other Australian also came out in support of a Green New Deal?
Who? Malcolm Turnbull?
Yes, he wrote in Time magazine about that, and now he's just turned into...
I know it because I saw it on your notes.
Yeah, a climate crusader. He apparently shared a climate poem on Twitter. So you can tell that, because people say about Turnbull, oh, why didn't you do all this when you were Prime Minister? Because people made sure that he didn't do that as Prime Minister. Imagine if he was, say, a president with executive authority, because Malcolm Turnbull wants the Republic, he could just basically decree... Oh,
he'd write a poem.
Lots of things.
Well, I wonder if the Green New Deal proposition will go as well over here as it went down in America, which was in a steaming pile of nothing burger over there because it was so retarded, completely retarded from top to bottom. Nobody took it. The Democrats were embarrassed by AOC and her Green New Deal.
And we've already had the rejection of climate insanity, and that was the election of the Morrison government.
But that's because everyone was brainwashed by Murdoch and Sky After Dark. And
yes, of course. I keep forgetting. Yeah, that's right.
It's so funny how many of these lefties and greenies and SJWs genuinely think that Scott Morrison is personally responsible for the bushfires that have happened here, and B, that Scott Morrison is relevant or somehow the bad guy. It's like I'm just amazed at how much of a bubble so many people live in around politics, even though they're always mouthing off their opinions about it. You know, somebody the other day accused a friend of mine of being a Nazi because the evidence was he posted some years ago that he liked Jordan Peterson. Like, imagine thinking Jordan Peterson is a Nazi. It's like
Jordan Peterson, the guy who literally walked right up to the JQ and then ran the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Imagine thinking Jordan Peterson's a Nazi. It's so hilarious. And so imagine thinking Scott Morrison is relevant to the right-wing cause.
Yeah,
you know?
Mona
Hathaway, one toe over the centre line to right. Like, he's not a right-wing prime minister.
Yeah, Mona Hathaway, the Q&A feminist who proposed the final solution for the patriarchy, said that Scott Morrison was a white supremacist. I've
heard Jared Kushner referred to as a white supremacist as well. Yeah.
It's so, people are so muddled up. I still, occasionally I get accused of the white supremacy thing, and I always laugh. And these days I just say, look, I'm not alt-right, but my penis is a white supremacist. Absolutely.
I just answer yes.
There was also the spill in the National Party room on Tuesday morning because Bridget McKenzie resigned as deputy leader over her part in the sports rorts affair, and so that opened up a vacancy in the Nationals leadership. And then there was a spill motion moved against leader Michael McCormack. And of course, Barnaby Joyce wants his old job back. And Michael McCormack was re-elected, but National Party, they don't release the vote tally. So everyone was speculating, and he punished Barnaby's supporters in the reshuffle and rewarded his supporters.
As every God Emperor should. I hope Donald Trump treats Mitt Romney the same way. Yeah.
Well, remember when
Yeah.
He was flirting with having Romney as his Secretary of State.
yeah, that lasted long. Yeah.
I think Roger Stone said at the time that it was never a serious consideration. It was to torture Romney, basically, just to troll him. And there's that famous photo of them having dinner and Romney's looking like that he's under Trump's control.
Yeah, okay, like a deer in the headlights. Huh?
Sorry?
Like a deer in the headlights. Yeah.
He's a gamma, and it's very clear from all this behaviour and the little Judas stab in the vote the other day, and all of that. He's a sore loser. He thinks he's the secret king, and it's not going to go well for Judas Romney, unfortunately. From here, he's signed a deal with the enemy.
It's funny, like if he hadn't done what he did in that vote, he would only have been known as a loser. Now he's known as a traitor as well.
Yeah, they want to kick him. Well,
yeah.
They want to expel him from the Republican Party now. But how did the Utah Republican Party, because he came from Massachusetts, migrated back to Utah, won the Republican nomination to run for the Senate in Utah and won in the 2018 midterms. So the Republicans put him in there.
Yeah, okay.
And the Utah Republican Party said, we do not agree with Mitt Romney's vote.
Yeah, okay. Well, I wonder how he'll go the next...
He's there for
his
6
next
years.
Election. Yeah, okay.
Not up for election until 2024 when Trump leaves office.
Yeah, gee, okay.
Well, maybe he can, help everyone forget what he's done in 6 years.
I so love when Trump first had to go at Romney. He's like, Romney begged me for his endorsement in 2012, and then he choked like a dog in the election.
he knows how to communicate, doesn't he?
Whatever one thinks about Trump and his efficacy and his loyalty to the America First movement, all of that aside, Trump has been the most entertaining president in my lifetime, hands down, and a gifted rhetorician, an absolutely gifted rhetorician. The way he slams people and creates labels for people that really stick, man, he's skillful.
And the Democrats this week have basically written his tweets for him, because when the Iowa Caucus failure happened, I was like, I can't wait for Trump to, what's he going to tweet about this? And when Pelosi teared up the State of the Union speech, I was like, what's Trump going to say about this? You just know that, this is going to be one of the most epic takedowns of it.
I like how he tweeted that thing of Trump for every presidential year in the future. Like, do you think he's actually, like, I know there's that, I was saying earlier, like, he could be the last president, and, like, it's likely the United States will break up. But do you reckon he's got a dynasty in mind?
Well, there's Donald Trump Jr., but we have to remember who his new girlfriend is, and by girlfriend I mean handler, Kimberly Guilfoyle, who's former Fox News 5 host, and he's got his new book Triggered, and Kimberly Guilfoyle follows him everywhere, and he basically doesn't do an interview without her there.
Right.
Which is sort of, that's really...
It's kind of like Michael Clark-esque, like when he came out for his interview, like for the media conference, to say, yeah, I cheated.
Yeah,
and his wife gives him a kiss as soon as he walks out
and
the
like,
door.
what kind of like man are you if you basically because she sort of intervenes if things like get a bit sort of testy.
Yeah, really.
Like she's basically there to sort of, if you can't handle it, just sort of jump in.
Right. I think Fox Day has a word for that, doesn't he?
I reckon on the question of the Trump dynasty, I think the real one to watch is Kushner. I think Jared Kushner has a dynasty in mind. He won't, he'll never be a leader himself, but I reckon it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's going to groom Ivanka and
and
their children and other people of his choosing, for leadership roles in the future.
Let's remember that Ivanka, she is a liberal Democrat. She believes in feminism and all that other equality stuff. And, well, we all know how Trump feels about Ivanka.
Yeah, and we know how Trump. Well, we've seen as well how Trump feels about Israel. And this is going to be his undoing. Is that unfortunately he's failed on a lot of his promises. He's done some swamp draining. He's definitely done a lot of good for the victims of the global sex trafficking, pedophilia rings. Trump's been awesome on that stuff. But as far as the sort of America First movement goes, he's really jumped off the wagon and put Israel first, and it's going to be the thing that turns a lot of his grassroots base against him if it continues the way it's looking like it will. Which is unfortunate. It's a disappointment as far as Trump goes, but we don't put our faith in man. Otherwise, we put our faith in God.
I maintain that he knows what happens to JFK. Think of that speech that JFK gave not long before he was assassinated. He talked about the military-industrial complex. He referred to a cabal that actually controls everything. I think Donald Trump knows. That's my theory. Basically, I reckon they've got him by the balls.
This is why the America First movement and the Groper Army has emerged. And Nick Fint, as he continues to grow on YouTube and DLive, of course, there was the Groper Leadership Summit in West Palm Beach, Florida last year, and now he's holding AFPAC, America First Political Action Conference, in the same lead up to
it's gonna
CPAC.
Big time. These Zoomers, these Catholic Zoomers are going to be a force to be reckoned with in a few years' time. It's amazing to watch.
And Michelle Malkin, she's not officially the keynote speaker, but the biggest name to speak at AFPAC. And I looked up CPAC. The US one where it's being held this year. It's being held at the Gaylord National Resort in Maryland.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah, that's the... You sort of you could have because it's near Washington DC.
Yeah, they didn't think about the optics there, did they? They really didn't think about the optics.
I think they said, screw your optics, we're going in.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't they watch
the back door? What?
Didn't they watch Meet the Parents or Meet the Fockers? How many jokes were made that Greg's real name was Gaylord?
Yeah.
But hey, it's the current year.
Yeah. Cut the bigotry, guys.
Where's it going to be next?
It's okay
next
to
year?
be Gaylord. Probably in South Bend.
South. Is it South Bend or South Bend?
South Bend with Pete Buttigieg.
It's funny now that his campaign is not his last name; it's Pete. And so they're now just calling him Mayor.
Imagine my shock.
That's it. I do have a little bit of sympathy for him.
Peter. Sorry, what were you going to say, Dan?
I know, just with my surname, I'm one of those guys who throws stones in glass houses, but I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, we don't give you much grief over your name.
Yeah, well, at least it's not Hercock.
Yeah, that's it. It's my penis, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's remember though that in 2008 and 2012 the US people, they elected a guy who had a name that sounded like a terrorist, Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah, it was amazing. Just 7 years after those dancing Israelis. Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, there wasn't just speculation that he was gay, but also that he was a secret Muslim as well. And there was that press conference where he actually accidentally said "my Muslim faith."
Yes. Yeah. That's
weird little glitches.
Yeah. That's a what is it? That's a slip. That's an actual slip.
And then there was the interview when he's like, when Shell's mad.
He's called her Michael a few times in interviews. That's either he was a victim of a minor stroke during these interviews, or something fishy's going on down there.
Yeah, and there was also the one where he was talking to Vladimir Putin, and he was talking to him about missile defense, and Vladimir Putin was trying to get Barack Obama to, just basically cut the program, and Barack Obama he said to him, and it was caught on a hot mic, "Look, I'll have more leverage on this after the midterms."
Oh, it was after his re-election. That's what he said.
After my re-election. Yeah, he was basically selling out America.
And
Never an impeachment over, never any kind of impeachment. No Russian collusion story there. It was amazing.
Yeah, and he knew that he was going to win. Like, he was pretty confident, and he did win.
Yeah.
Like, he won pretty convincingly. The polls up until election night, where it's 50-50, and Romney's campaign actually thought that they were going to win. He didn't write a concession speech. He only had a victory speech.
Romney.
The bread and circuses of democracy.
Yeah, that's it.
Where we think we have power.
Hilary didn't write a concession speech either. Well, she couldn't bring herself to just make one up on the spot. She got Podesta to come up on stage to say, "Everyone go home."
Yeah, she threw a tantrum and got drunk. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nothing more attractive than a sore loser, hey? But, Hillary may be back yet. We won't give up on on old Hillary.
Yeah, that's what the whole shenanigans this week have been about, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, her Australian
is a fall man for Hillary, I reckon.
Or just basically the younger model of Biden. She's basically going senile, and his eyeballs are popping out, and
kissing his granddaughter on the lips.
And he keeps making these double entendre speeches where he's like, "I want teachers to touch their students," metaphorically, I mean.
Oh. He's such a gaff, a walking gaff, that guy. I reckon Biden would have done better if he had brought out Corn Pop as his running mate, and had a black running mate, a gangster running mate with a flick knife on stage. Did you hear that story?
No.
That he told about? Was it Corn Pop? I think he talked about a fight that he nearly got in when he was a young man and a lifeguard at a local swimming pool in a black community. It all sounds like bullshit from top to bottom. But he talks about nearly getting in a fight with this brother called Corn Pop. It's just you can't make this shit up. It's so funny.
Wow.
Yeah, we have got a question through Entropy. Mark sent our line. Should we start looking at planting seeds for growing Aussie gropers communities? I assume you mean planting like seeds for fertilization to create gropers. I think that's what you mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it'll happen organically. Like the Zoomer generation in Australia is just as aware, I think, and just as plugged in, and probably just as conservative, or at least there's a growing movement within it, as we're seeing in America. And so much of our political culture is trickled down from the American lead, and that's why I take such a keen interest in America, is because it's the empire that we may not be legally, but culturally we're under the American empire in the Western world at the moment, and it's crumbling. And so it's one to watch, because what befalls America will in certain ways eventually befall us too. So yeah, I think the Groyper, an Aussie version of the Groypers will emerge, and maybe instead of a Pepe Groyper mascot, maybe they'll take this muscly kangaroo of ours as their mascot. That'd be fun. Maybe they'll be called the Uncuckables. Maybe we're the beginning.
We can dare to dream. Final super chat for the night in the Unshackled live chat. Port Film Co-op said, please link to Fix Higgins show when you sign off. Typo, I meant Fox Higgins. Yeah, well, it's about time for your show. So we did pretty well by streaming to 4 different platforms: Uncuckables YouTube, Unshackled, Rational Rise TV, and also the Uncuckables D-Live. I think I only heard one person complain about the lag, so that's pretty good.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah, looks like it went well. Well, it's been nice to hang out and not be cucked with you fellas again, and looking forward to doing it on a weekly basis for the most part, if I can.
Yeah, and
if you'll have me.
Oh yes, you're welcome. Welcome anytime. Have we ever had to disavow someone from the show for cucking?
Oh, not yet. just
we're Christians, and as long as the cucking stops, we forgive.
yeah, okay.
Okay, I put the link to your channel in the live chat there. So, Port Film Co-op,
Excellent, thank
you
you.
can
Yep.
continue your Australian alt media binge with Foxy afterwards.
Yeah, beautiful.
Great. Yep.
And of course, tomorrow night, I'm not sure if I'll be doing Wilms Front tomorrow night. I might take, because I've got, as Matty said, background work to catch up on, because there's a lot of other work and infrastructure that goes into these shows. But I'll let you know through my media channels, Telegram, Gab, Minds, what's happening. Of course, I'm not on Facebook anymore, which is sort of a blessing because you don't waste half your life there and argue with idiots.
Yep. And Monday nights you'll find me and Matty at Matty Rose Live. What you got at the start of the stream is pretty much how it goes every Monday night at 9 o'clock. That's what we do. We just Matty talks a lot and I sort of direct him. It's pretty fun. And also
Reel him in.
And check out the podcast that I'm doing with Mark Moncrief on Melbourne Traditionalists. You'll see them. We put them up on XYZ. We do a shorter format, just half an hour. We usually focus on one or two topics, having a lot of fun with them.
But it's not actually a podcast. It's on a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we've got to talk to you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because audio files will say
yes, we
it's
know.
not a
We
proper
know.
podcast.
Yes, we know. Yeah.
We'll talk about Boomer Tech off air.
Yeah.
It's spare the audience. Well, and yeah, make sure everyone who's watching this on the other channels that aren't Rational Rise TV, come on over to Rational Rise TV on YouTube or to my D Live channel, which is simply at James Fox Higgins. I will be kicking off my first James Fox Higgins show of the year in about 10 minutes time after we've wrapped this up and I empty my bladder. Then we'll be all set and good to go. Tonight we're talking about what is best in life. So that's going to be a nice conversation to have. So I want lots of men there.
Yeah, and keep checking out theunshackled.net because Facebook is also targeting our page as well. And you told me beforehand that XYZ as well, it's like it's coordinated or something.
Yeah, basically since Monday morning, they've just put the clamps down. We were at a point where we would just post stuff up and you get hundreds of engagements, thousands of engagements. And so obviously they're like, okay, we've got to reel them back in.
They shut it down.
Yeah, that's it. They keep putting out this idea that, we're fringe, but all we need is a level playing field and it goes viral.
Yeah.
The only reason that we haven't reached
we all
is
had a
because
spike
they shut it down.
after Australia Day, our Australia Day coverage. Yeah. Because obviously everyone loves Australia Day and we're disgusted what happened in Melbourne.
Yes.
But then a week later, those people who like Australia Day. Interesting coincidence.
Yeah. Okay, I'll let you go, James.
Yep. Good night, everyone.
Cool, fellas. Yeah.
Cheerio, everybody.
Yeah,
everyone
and nobody.
minutes.
Just for before sign off, can you all of you shut up while I shut down the various streams so there's no hot mic moments?
I'm not promising anything, Tim.
Yeah.
You'll have to mute me.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I swear I will not talk.
All right.
See you, folks.
See ya.
Night.
The Uncuckables.